Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, dear speakers, organizers of Gladiator Summit, the one and only Darius Sudi, thank you so much for putting together such an event. It's such a great pleasure to be sharing the stage today with such a list of thought leaders, pioneers, and shapers of the industry. But more importantly, I've been speaking at events all around the planet for the past many years. I've never seen audience like this, genuinely. So please, big round of applause for you. The energy is unbelievable. For those of you who I haven't had the privilege of meeting yet, my name is Abdalla Kablan. I'm a serial tech entrepreneur turned investor. Throughout my career, I built a number of companies specializing in AI and machine learning, some of which were successful. A lot were miserable failures, but I learned much more from the failures than I did from successes. I'm also a nerdy academic, so I still lecture and research topics ranging from machine intelligence to principles of algorithmic trading. I decided to invest in tech companies, invest in tech entrepreneurs who are actually trying to do and solve problems similar to what I've been doing for the past 14 years. And I fell in love with investing for two reasons. First, I'm still a very technical person. So if I have to roll up my sleeves and code with these teams, I would actually do it. I would still mentor and coach the founders and the entrepreneurs in these companies because I've done all the mistakes. I've been hurt. I fell and got back up, and I know how it feels. So I've become a bit of the empathetic investor. The second reason why I fell in love with investing as well is that I suddenly realized that when it's your company, it's like your baby. You go to bed thinking about it, you wake up thinking about it. When you're the investor, you're like the cool uncle. You play with the baby, and as soon as it starts crying, you give it back to the mom or dad and say, deal with your problem. But other than that, and with this introduction that I've just given, I take a step back and I think that many years ago, I would be so happy to introduce myself like this. This is what matters. It's my career. It's the world that I'm building. It's the tech that I'm in love with. And it's what I'm trying to do, achieve success, avoid failure, learn from mistakes. But then when I zoom out and they say, what is the thing that I am most proud of in my life? What really is that is me, my why, like Munir said in the morning. And it is the fact that I am a father. And for those of you who have like experienced this unbelievable feeling of parenthood, you know how exciting it is, but you know how also the weight of the world suddenly falls on your shoulder with responsibility. And my mission in life was or has become making this world much better for my kids. So please forget all this long introduction, the braggy one that I made about myself, and allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Abdalla Kablan, and I'm the co-founder of two beautiful little boys, Moody and Zaid. And my mission in life, like I said, is to make this world better, safer, and more secure for them. And Darius said something this morning that really resonated with me. It was about change. He said everything can change just like that. And this really links quite a lot with the story of my own two boys. See, Moody was born in 2017 to, a cheering and greeting group of nurses and doctors welcoming him to the world. I just exited my first company. I was happy. It's about time to now build the family, welcome my new son, and let's like, grow the family and look at the future. On the other hand, Zaid was born in 2020. Again, randomly in the exact same room, in the exact same hospital, with the same view. But Zaid was born in the peak of the COVID pandemic. There were no nurses and doctors clapping, welcoming him to the world. Everyone was really scared. I almost missed the birth because they're like not allowing people to go in. People were in hazmat suits. Zaid was being born in the 7th floor of Guy's in St. Thomas, and on the 6th floor there was Boris Johnson in a ventilator fighting for his life because he decided not to wash his hands and he didn't believe that he's gonna get sick. And that's where I realized that it was the same place, but different realities. And that's where I started feeling that things are actually changing. And not to bring you back to that sad period of COVID, but when that happened and hit me really hard at how can it be the same place, different realities, what is this change that's gonna happen? My second passion, other than AI, is actually history. I said, let me look at pandemics. What is going to happen? Where is the opportunity here? And I was in the process of selling my second company, funny enough. And the moral of the story here is not that whenever I have a kid, I sell my company. I would have a kid every 9 months if that was the case. But again, that was what's happening. And I said, pandemics have two effects. Number one, they're forgettable. And number two, they spark innovation. Forgettable, because I remember speaking at GITEX, actually in this same convention center here in 2020, when everyone was masked, everyone was distancing, everyone was very uncomfortable, and I knew it's gonna be forgettable. If you think about history, there was the Spanish flu that claimed more lives than World War I in the early 20th century. However, you find more movies, poems, and songs about World War I than you'll find about the Spanish flu, because pandemics are very forgettable, because they are an act of God. Humans remember more pain that has been inflicted on them by other humans. So I knew that that was a temporary period. The second part, which is more linked to what I do, which is innovation, is that pandemics have always sparked innovation. If you think about it, Isaac Newton discovered gravity during the Black Plague because there was social distancing. He was sat under a tree and he was really bored, and the apple fell on his head and he discovered gravity. Albert Einstein did most of his work in relativity theory during the Spanish flu. So innovation really thrives during these periods. And with everything that was happening, and we all witnessed it, 2020 was a very pivotal year, which is resulting to everything that we're seeing now, mainly because the digital migration has been officially completed in 2020. We have moved our life digitally, started working remotely, started transacting remotely, education can be done remotely, health can be done remotely. And we realized that digitization is now has taken a very prominent part of our life. And here is where opportunity comes. And as I zoom out again, and having two boys now, father of two of them, and given my background in tech, I knew for a fact that 20 years from now, Moody and Zaid will either have their best friend as a robot, or they will be leading the human rebellion against the robots in a post-apocalyptic world like the Terminator movie. And both scenarios are actually very valid because of one thing, something that I spent a long chunk of my life and career looking at, which is artificial intelligence. See, I finished my PhD in artificial intelligence in 2010. Back then, when you introduce yourself, say, hi, I have a PhD in artificial intelligence, used to be the end of the conversation. No one was really interested. Now everyone is talking about it. Funnily enough, I did my first degree in 2001. I started it in systems engineering and AI at the University of Malta, which at the time was one of the first universities in Europe which was trialing a degree in this new field of artificial intelligence. Even though artificial intelligence is not new by any means, it existed since World War II during the time of Alan Turing, academically it was not being taught, and I happened to be lucky enough to be exposed to it from my first degree. In fact, it wasn't until last year that my mother finally understood what I've been doing for the past 24 years, because she tried ChatGPT and she said, so that's why you've been doing all along. That's what AI is. And I was like, thank you, user experience, because now as we experience something in a more simple way, we can comprehend it. We all used WhatsApp for the past 12, 13 years. We know that user experience. So suddenly, if you're talking to something and it's giving you feedback, but it's not a human, it resonates much more and it's much easier to understand. However, as someone who's been involved in this field for quite a while, I've always struggled with the idea that in AI, since the beginning of my studying of this field, the race was always to make the systems much more intelligent. And I've always found this as something unnatural, because intelligence is not necessarily the best approach, especially narrow intelligence, being good at one thing. The problem that I face that with AI, we've always tried to build the next Einstein, the best mathematician that you can find or see. Was in reality, we should be thinking about building the next Aristotle, someone that is multidisciplinary enough to understand both the philosophy, the impact, the value creation, as well as biology, maths, and physics, and all of that. And that's how AI has become or is actually a threat, is something that we're all acknowledging now that needs to be dealt with care, because as much as it is useful, and a lot of you, I'm sure that you're using AI and ChatGPT to enhance your productivity, there are threats that even some of the brightest minds in the world are warning us or have been warning us about for so many years. One of them is Elon Musk, who ironically enough is warning us about the threat of AI, and he has an AI company producing humanoids, which is a bit contradicting, but hey, that's what an entrepreneur does sometimes. And for that reason, I have coined the term artificial wisdom in 2016 and introduced it at Zest conference, whereby I said, and I had this notion that when it comes to leaving our fate into the hands of technology, we actually need to be wiser. We don't need to be more intelligent. And the difference is quite vast between wisdom and intelligence. Sometimes intelligence is knowing what to do, what task to perform, what tool can enhance our productivity. Wisdom maybe is knowing what not to do or studying the impact and the implication of what I'm about to do before I actually do it. And also, we need to work on making AI a bit more friendly, a bit more visible. Even those of you who've tried, I don't know, Siri, Cortana, Alexa, now ChatGPT with voice, you still can't fully think of them as friends, even though a lot of us, including myself, I still say please and thank you to ChatGPT. But when you can't visualize something, it's very difficult for you to befriend it. Why? Because a friend, what is a friend? Is someone that when we see, we get a chemical reaction in our brain and the hormone levels start moving. Some speakers today called it the dopamine, but it's not only dopamine, it's all the good stuff, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, everything starts moving when we see our friend. And that's why you have your human best friend. You tell them your, deepest, darkest secrets, and you feel that passion when you see them. Or some people, you can have even your dog as your best friend. Dog is a man's best friend. And they create the same chemical reaction in your brain. And when you walk home, it comes, it wags its tail, it's happy that it's seen you, and you feel that this is my friend. You can't treat them both the same because you can't tell your dog your deepest, darkest secrets, or you can, but it won't respond. Or if you tell your best human friend to fetch the ball, you'll know what they'll say back. But from a chemical reaction in the brain, it is exactly the same. And this is where AI is moving. And this is where AI is potentially going to cocoon us, both culturally and even behaviorally, into actually getting attached to it once we start visualizing it, which is what Elon Musk is trying to do, but also physically with the robots. What I say and what I focus on is that when AI solves problems, artificial wisdom needs to create decisions that create value. I get so annoyed at politicians sometimes, especially in the West. I live in the UK. I advise the House of Lords in the UK mainly on their strategies when it comes to artificial intelligence. And recently I said, I am very annoyed at politicians because every time I hear a Western politician speak about their policies and the plans, they say we do data driven decision making. Everything we do is data driven by the best data. We shouldn't be data driven, we should be value driven. Values should guide us before the data. Data can be easily manipulated. Thank you. Data acquisition, filtration, processing is such a critical procedure when you're trying to build an intelligent system that I even link it to me and the upbringing of my own kids. It doesn't mean that I need to tell them everything I need to tell them. Sometimes I need to filter a few things to make sure that I'm preserving, like their behavior. I wouldn't shock them. I would make sure that they're learning the, right values, the morals that need to be added. Hence, also data needs to be diverse. Data needs to be inclusive. Data need to instill value. The systems should be re-architected to put value at the forefront and data second, because data will be the secondary source of building this system. And I always say that, intelligence is knowing, wisdom is understanding. And think of it like a ladder. If you have data and you process data, it becomes information. Information with time becomes knowledge. Knowledge evolves into understanding of the problem you're trying to solve. And understanding with processing and very good intelligence evolves into wisdom. Unfortunately, with AI, we're still stuck in number 3. We're glorified knowledge bases. Even ChatGPT, one of the best inventions of our century, which I have nothing but admiration for it, is still a sleight of hand trick. Because as a coder, as a programmer, I know that all ChatGPT is doing, it's a predictive algorithm. It's predicting the next word, but cognitively, it really doesn't know what it's saying yet. At every given time, it's just predicting the next best word that it's saying. So we're stuck in being glorified knowledge bases. Even humans, not all of them become wise. We say يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء. God gives wisdom to whoever God wants to give wisdom to, because it's very, very unique trait for someone to be wise. I always say to my students when I try to differentiate between knowledge and wisdom, I say knowledge is the difference between true and false. Wisdom is knowing the difference between right and wrong. Or a nicer example, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to add it to your fruit salad because it will taste really bad. AI still cannot figure that out from a cognitive perspective. So, wisdom driven innovation. I say artificial wisdom needs to put us in the forefront mainly by creating the strategic foresight. No one can predict the future, but we need to have the right strategic foresight in order for us to anticipate the trends and be able to avoid the mistakes. The same way when I say I'm mentoring and coaching entrepreneurs at the moment, I am anticipating the problems for them in advance. AI at the moment is very task oriented. You ask the AI to basically perform a task for you much better, much more efficient. The problem with that approach of any of us who is using AI now, even to enhance our business and our productivity, you'll be defeated by someone else or some other tool that is using AI better than you, but will beat you in the moment. The reason why I'm a proponent of wisdom is that with wisdom, it is almost a predictive tool. It is not descriptive, it is predictive. It doesn't describe what you have now to make it better. It predicts what is going to happen, which is why, if we look at things from an artificial wisdom perspective, we will be able to even look at new potential business models that don't exist. It's not about optimization of what we have, it's about inventing new models that no one has ever thought of before. Similar to what happened like with the internet, for example. Nobody anticipated that with the internet, we're going to have e-commerce, new digital economies. We're going to be making, like we said in the morning, making money whilst we're sat at home without having to go and do hard labor. There will be new avenues of making money and growing if we actually anticipate the trends before they happen. Once you're using a fantastic AI tool now that's already been published, it's already too late. It will maybe make you rich, but won't make you wealthy. Wealth is created by those who are generating IP or intellectual property, which is why even my business, Delta World Partners, which is my venture capital fund, we invest only in companies that have created their own IP, their own intellectual property, which is one day going to be valuable for someone else either to grow or to exit, but has to be built from within, not just a white label solution mainly to make money. And at the expense of not taking too much time, I know it's the last act standing between you and the after party. I won't take long, but think of wisdom as a main key to growth. Wisdom of a main key to wealth creation. And the reason why I say it's a key to wealth creation, it's not a magic formula, but always say value is greater than money. And something Darius said in his opening statement as well, generate value to each other. Your true net worth is your network, for example. Once you generate value, money becomes a byproduct of the whole process of value creation. I've created value for myself, for my companies, for people that I've worked with. And the amount of business that I got indirectly through that value creation, whether it's through building trust or building credibility, or everyone knowing that I am a person of my word. If I've promised something, I've always delivered. Or if it's someone that I've only introduced to someone that I know will not let them down. or always delivered on time, on target. That's how you create value to others. Even if it's not monetized immediately, trust me, it is going to be monetized eventually, but it's almost an investment, compounding interest rate investment, which is way better than getting paid by the hour. Think wiser, grow faster. I always say, and if there's one nugget you need to take out of this, is that 1 hour of action is better than 10,000 hours of thinking. If you're sat there thinking about what should I do, how should I plan it, how should I optimize it, and just sit and think and sit and think and do nothing, it's completely worthless. If you take action immediately and make mistakes and fail and get back up again and try again, you'd have spent maybe 10 hours as opposed of 10 hours of just looking back and doing nothing, which is why, thank you. The opportunity is huge, and I have some statistics there, which I'm gonna pass over them because you've heard enough statistics today, and I'm sure you won't remember them afterwards. But if there's action that I want to encourage everyone to do, I want to encourage everyone to even come and seek my advice if you need, is that always try to make something great. Always strive for greatness. Always know that you are unique at what you're good at. When someone comes and tells me, oh, give me an advice for the future, like everyone say, oh, why don't you tell them follow your dreams? I never tell anyone to follow your dreams. I always tell everyone, be really, really, really good at what you do, no matter what that is. And then if you dream anything related to that, it's going to be fulfilled. But don't try to dream and do nothing about it. So make sure you do something great. Make sure you're brave. Be brave. Have the guts to do it. Embrace failure. Failure is so good. I don't know why it's so stigmatized. I am actually proud of my failures. I actually speak about them in podcasts. I speak about them on stage. I'm speaking about it now. I failed so miserably many times. It hurts at the time, but the resilience and the lessons you learn from them is almost invaluable. Be very responsible. And this is what I started with. I have 2 boys at the moment. I want to leave a safer, better world for them. I'm 40 this year. And suddenly, when I look back, I say, I've had a career, I've built things, I've enjoyed everything I've done. But I want them that when they are my age today, to just live in a world where AI is not a threat, where AI is almost symbiotically living with us to make the world better. And for that reason, I have a responsibility both as a programmer and as an investor. I only invest in businesses that I know are not going to potentially cause any harm to the end consumer, whether it's on the robo advisory level, whether it's on the medical health, whether it's in the edutech health. We need to be responsible and we need to be wise, which is why I keep on talking about artificial wisdom. And be responsible with everything that you're doing. So plan then act. When I say 1 hour of action is better than 10,000 hours of thinking, it doesn't mean not to plan. Please plan. But most importantly, do not procrastinate. That's the most important thing. And procrastination is actually becoming endemic of the younger generations, but even my generation. Like we start doing something and then we end up on a YouTube spiral and we never get out of it until something snaps us out of it, and it's usually too late. And that for that reason, I've just published my book last month. It's titled Artificial Wisdom: The Next Frontier of AI. It's available on Amazon, so please go and check it out. And I welcome your very valuable feedback. Even though I've been in academia for many years, I've published more than 40 academic papers. This is my first actual fully fledged book. It's not too technical. I'm being told that is an easy read. It actually speaks about me and my kids, most of it, so you're gonna enjoy that part. However, if you end up reading it, please do send me your very valuable feedback. And please do get in touch with me as well if you have any questions, if you need any help, if there's anything I can help you with, if there's any advice, if you need any mentoring, if you're interested in looking at what to invest in the next trends that are coming, which companies are actually using AI wisely. We're actively investing. So we're looking for investors, we're looking for companies, we're looking for startups. And more importantly, I am looking for people to help. So please do get in touch. And I promise to keep it short, so I'm keeping it short. Thank you
Ladies
so
and
much.
gentlemen, Dr. Abdalla Kablan.